The door to our cramped Brooklyn walk-up creaked open like a gunshot in the dead of night. And there he was, Nathan, stumbling in from whatever dive bar had claimed him this Friday. His broad shoulders hunched against the autumn chill that seeped through the fire escape. I was already in bed, sheets tangled around my legs, pretending to scroll through my phone in the blue glow that barely pierced the darkness of our shared room. But my heart slammed against my ribs when he didn't head to the couch like usual. No. He kicked off his boots with a thud that echoed off the peeling wallpaper, shrugged out of his damp jacket, and made a beeline for my side of the room. "Isaiah," he slurred, voice thick with whiskey and something heavier. "Move over, man. I can't. I just can't sleep out there tonight." I froze, the phone slipping from my fingers onto the pillow. Nathan, straight as an arrow Nathan, the guy who'd spent the last 2 years high-fiving me over Knicks games and splitting six-packs while trash-talking his latest Tinder disasters, yanked back the corner of my comforter without waiting for an answer. His body hit the mattress like a wave crashing, warm and solid, his arm draping across my chest before I could even process the invasion. And then, in the span of a heartbeat that stretched into eternity, his lips found my neck. Not an accidental brush, not a drunken fumble, but a deliberate press, hot and searching, like he'd been mapping this territory in his dreams for months. "Fuck," he whispered against my skin, breath ragged. "I've been pretending for so long. With you, it's real." The world tilted, my pulse a thunder in my ears, because in that moment, the straight roommate I'd loved in silence for 730 days wasn't pretending anymore, and neither could I. We'd met freshman year at NYU, thrown together by some sadistic housing algorithm that paired a theater kid from Harlem with a poli-sci jock from the suburbs of Philly. I was Isaiah Washington, 19, with a fade that never stayed fresh and a laugh that could fill a black box theater. Gay as a rainbow flag on Pride weekend, but I'd learned early to keep that flag furled around straight boys who saw me as their bro. Nathan Riley was the opposite, 6 feet 2 inches of Irish-Italian muscle, with freckles across his nose that made him look boyish even when he was raging about Trump rallies or the Eagles' latest choke. He was the king of the keg stand, the guy who could quote Malcolm Gladwell while shotgunning a beer. Straight, through and through, or so I told myself every night when I'd lie awake listening to him jerk off to straight porn on the other side of the thin partition we jury-rigged between our beds. Our friendship was easy, the kind that felt like fate's cruel joke. We'd binge-watch The Wire until dawn, arguing over whether Stringer Bell was a sellout or a visionary. He'd drag me to dive bars in Williamsburg where he'd flirt shamelessly with bartenders named Kaylee or Jess, and I'd nurse my IPA, stealing glances at the way his Adam's apple bobbed when he laughed. Once, after a brutal callback where the director called my monologue too effeminate, Nathan had shown up at the theater with a slice of Junior's cheesecake and a bear hug that lingered a beat too long. "You're a fucking star," he'd said, eyes locked on mine in the empty house seats. "Don't let those hacks dim your light." I wanted to kiss him then, to shatter the glass wall between us, but instead I punched his arm and called him a sap. Pretending was survival. That fall semester, things shifted like the leaves turning on the high line. Nathan's latest girlfriend, a sorority girl named Brooke from Connecticut, started ghosting him mid-texts, leaving him brooding over cold pizza in our kitchenette. I'd find him staring at his phone, jaw clenched, muttering about how women are a goddamn mystery. One night, after she'd blocked him for good, he crashed on my bed again, fully clothed this time, sobbing into the pillow about feeling like a fraud in his own skin. What's wrong with me, man? I'm 21, supposed to have it all figured out. I held him, my hand on his back, feeling the heat of him through his tea, and whispered that he was enough, always had been. He looked up, eyes red-rimmed, and for a second, I swear the air crackled. But he pulled away, mumbled thanks, and stumbled to the couch. I lay there after, hard and aching, cursing the universe for dangling him like forbidden fruit. By November, the tension was a live wire. We'd started running together at Prospect Park, pounding pavement at dawn while the city yawned awake. Sweat slicked and breathless, we'd collapse on the grass, shoulders brushing, and talk about everything, his dreams of law school in D.C., my obsession with August Wilson's ghosts. Once, mid-stride, he grabbed my wrist to stop me from tripping over a root. His fingers lingered, thumb tracing my pulse point, and he grinned that lopsided grin. Careful, Speedy. Can't lose my favorite running buddy. My stomach flipped, but I played it cool, shoving him playfully. Inside, I was unraveling. The bar that night was a hole in the wall on Bedford Avenue, the kind with sticky floors and a jukebox stuck on Springsteen. Nathan had insisted we go out. No moping over midterms. Let's get wrecked. I nursed a whiskey sour, watching him charm a group of graphic designers, his laugh booming over the din. But when he returned to our booth, his eyes were glassy, haunted. Brooke texted me, he said, slamming back a shot. She's with some finance bro now. Says I was too. Intense. He trailed off, staring into his glass like it held answers. I wanted to say he was perfect, that intensity was his superpower, but the words stuck. Instead, we drank until the room spun, until he was leaning into me, arms slung over my shoulders, whispering nonsense about how I was the only one who got him. Staggering home through the drizzle, he leaned on me heavier than usual, his weight a delicious burden. "You're my rock, Isaiah," he murmured, breath hot against my ear. "Don't ever leave, okay?" My heart stuttered dangerous territory. In the stairwell, he pinned me against the wall for balance, our bodies flush, and I caught the scent of his cologne mixed with rain and regret. "Nathan," I started, voice hoarse, but he shushed me with a finger to my lips. "Not tonight. Just be here." We made it to the apartment in silence, the door clicking shut like a seal on a secret. And then, the bed. His lips on my neck ignited something primal, a spark that raced down my spine. I turned toward him, tentative, my hand finding the nape of his neck, fingers threading through damp curls. He groaned, low and guttural, pulling me closer until our hips aligned, the evidence of his want pressing insistent against my thigh. No words, just the frantic shedding of shirts, the slide of skin on skin, his mouth claiming mine in a kiss that tasted of bourbon and desperation. It was messy, urgent, teeth clashing, hands exploring like we'd both been starving. He whispered my name like a prayer. "Isaiah. God, Isaiah." As his fingers traced the lines of my body, mapping scars from childhood asthma inhalers and the tattoo of a quill on my ribcage that said, "Words are weapons," we moved together, a tangle of limbs and labored breaths, the headboard thumping softly against the brick wall. It wasn't gentle. It was a dam breaking after years of pressure. He was everywhere, inside me, around me, consuming me, and for those stolen hours, the world narrowed to the heat between us, the salt of sweat and the rhythm of our gasps. When he finally stilled, collapsing onto my chest with a shuddering sigh, I held him, tracing lazy circles on his back, afraid to breathe lest the spell shatter. Dawn crept in gray and unforgiving, the alarm on my phone buzzing like an accusation. Nathan stirred, eyes fluttering open, and the horror dawned on his face like a storm cloud. He bolted upright, sheets pooling around his waist, staring at me like I'd grown horns. "What the fuck did we do?" he rasped, voice cracking. I reached for him, but he flinched, scrambling for his boxers on the floor. This was a mistake. The booze, the fight, I wasn't thinking. His words sliced deeper than any knife, each one a betrayal of the vulnerability we'd shared. "Nathan, wait." But he was already dressing, muttering about needing air, slamming the door behind him as he fled into the morning mist. I lay there, body still humming from his touch, soul fracturing. The pretending was over, all right, but at what cost? The apartment felt hollow without him, echoes of our laughter mocking me from the walls. I dragged myself to the bathroom mirror, splashing water on my face, but his ghost lingered in the fogged glass. That freckled grin, those hazel eyes now clouded with shame. How do you unlove someone who's just rewritten your every fantasy into a nightmare? Days blurred into a haze of avoidance. Nathan crashed on friends' couches, texting excuses about needing space to study. I threw myself into rehearsals for a student production of Angels in America, channeling Prior Walter's fury into every line, but even Tony Kushner's ghosts couldn't exorcise the ache. Late nights, I'd scroll through our old photos, us at Coney Island, arms around each other in the surf, him with a Sharpie mustache at my 20th birthday. Each one a landmine. A week later, he slunk back, duffel in hand, avoiding my eyes as he unpacked. "We gotta talk," he said, voice flat, perching on the edge of the couch like it might bite. I nodded, heart in my throat, bracing for the kill shot. That night. Can't happen again. I'm not, like that. The words landed like punches, each one bruising. I love you, man, as a friend. But if word gets out, it'll ruin everything. My family, the team back home, they'd never understand. Betrayal bloomed hot in my chest. Ruin us? He'd crawled into my bed, claimed me with a hunger that mirrored my own. And now it was ruin? I wanted to scream, to shake him until the truth rattled loose. But instead I forced a nod. Yeah. Friends. Got it. We slipped back into routine, but the air was poisoned. Touches that once sparked joy now burned. Brushing hands in the fridge, accidental knee bumps during movie nights. He started dating again, a barista named Mia with a nose ring and a laugh like wind chimes. I'd hear them in the living room, her giggles filtering through the partition, his low murmurs, and it'd twist the knife deeper. One night, post-coitus haze wafting under my door, I bolted to the fire escape, chain-smoking menthols until my lungs screamed, tears mixing with the November rain. Thanksgiving loomed like a guillotine. Nathan invited me to Philly, family tradition, but I begged off with a lie about my mom's shift at the hospital. Truth was, I couldn't face his world, his dad the cop, mom the homemaker, siblings who ribbed him about bringing home a stray. Instead, I holed up in the apartment, microwaving Stouffer's and binging It's a Sin, letting Russell T. Davies rip open old wounds. By midnight, buzzed on cheap Merlot, I texted him, "Miss our dumb traditions. Turkey's trash without you." His reply pinged back fast. "Miss you too, bro. Be home soon." Red heart the heart emoji, innocent or loaded. I drowned it in another glass. He returned with leftovers and stories, regaling me with tales of his niece's turkey dance. We ate on the floor, knees touching, and for a fleeting hour, felt normal. But as he cleared plates, his hand grazed mine, and he yanked back like scalded. "Sorry," he muttered, fleeing to the shower. I stared at the suds swirling down the drain later, wondering if he was washing me off his skin. Winter quarter hit like a freight train, exams, additions, the relentless grind of New York. Nathan threw himself into a campaign internship for some upstate congressman, coming home late with binders and takeout tie. Our conversations turned surface level. Weather, traffic, the subway's latest delay. But underneath, the current pulled strong. I'd catch him watching me, across the breakfast table, mid-laugh, and he'd look away, cheeks flushing. One blizzard night, power out and pipes frozen. We huddled under blankets on the couch, sharing body heat and a flashlight beam. "Remember that time in the park?" he asked, voice soft. I nodded, throat tight, the wrist grab. "Felt safe with you," he admitted. "Still do." My pulse raced. "Always," I whispered. He shifted closer, head on my shoulder, and sleep claimed us like old lovers. Waking to his steady breath, arms slung possessively, I allowed myself to hope. Maybe the crack in the facade was widening. But hope's a fragile thing. Early December, Brooke resurfaced, drunk dial at 2 a.m., sobbing apologies. Nathan took the call in our room. Door cracked, his voice a murmur of forgiveness. I pretended sleep, but the words seared. "Yeah, baby, I miss you too. Let's try again." By morning, she was back in the picture, crashing overnights that left me exiled to the couch, earbuds in to drown their moans. The betrayal stung fresh, not just the sex, but the erasure. He'd chosen her, the safe script, over the messy truth we'd tasted. I confronted him in the kitchen, coffee brewing like a storm front. "How can you go back, after us?" He winced, rubbing his neck. "It wasn't us. It was a slip. I'm straight. This, whatever you're feeling, it's gotta stop." His eyes pleaded, but the words were a wall slamming down. "You're my best friend. Don't make this weird. As if my heart wasn't a battlefield. I stormed out, pounding pavement until my sneakers wore thin, the city a blur of holiday lights mocking my solitude. Back home, he was gone, another night with her. I packed a bag, crashed at a castmate's in the village, letting the thump of bass and drag of joints numb the edges. Christmas came wrapped in tinsel lies. Nathan left texts. "Merry Christmas, bro. Love ya." I replied with emojis, burying the ache under eggnog shifts at a midtown diner. New Year's, I kissed a stranger at a Bushwick warehouse party. Tall, tattooed, tasting of gin, but it was Nathan's mouth I imagined. His hands. The countdown echoed hollow. 10, 9, 0. Spring thawed the ice, but not the rift. Additions dried up. I landed a waiter gig at a Soho bistro, slinging overpriced burrata to influencers. Nathan aced his internship, glowing with purpose. Mia a fixture now. They'd cook pasta in our kitchen, her perched on the counter while he stirred sauce. Domestic bliss I'd kill for. I'd escape to the roof, skyline sprawling like a promise unkept. One humid April evening, post-shift, I found him alone, Mia out with friends. He was on the couch, head in hands, a half-empty bottle of Jameson beside him. "She left," he said, not looking up. Said I'm distant. Distracted. I sat, cautious. "By what?" He met my eyes then. "You. Always you." The admission hung. Electric. I can't stop thinking about that night. Scared me shitless. But felt right. My breath caught. "Then why fight it?" He laughed. Bitter. "Because I'm terrified. Of what it means. Of losing you if it goes wrong." We talked till dawn. Fears unpacked like fragile heirlooms. His conservative upbringing. The locker room taunts back home. The internalized script screaming, "Man up." My own closet scars. The rejection from my uncle. The isolation of unrequited. Vulnerability bridged the gap. Tentative. By sunrise, his hand in mine, we kissed again. Slow, deliberate, no alcohol veil. It was a beginning, fragile as cherry blossoms. But fragility invites storms. May brought Mia's discovery. A misplaced text from me, innocuous but damning. "Can't wait for our run." Last time was magic. She confronted him at a party, seen public and vicious. Whispers spread through our circle. Nathan's experiment, my seduction. Friends pulled back. Texts went unread. Betrayal doubled, his choice to hide us, now exposed on his terms. The climax brewed that June. Heat wave turning the apartment into a sauna. Nathan paced, sweat slicked, while I packed for a summer stock gig in the Berkshires. "Don't go," he begged. "We can fix this." But the damage festered, his half apologies, my guarded heart. "You chose easy over us," I said, voice steel. "I'm done pretending." He grabbed my arm, desperation flaring. "I love you, Isaiah. Not like a friend. For real." The words I'd craved. Too late. We collided then, a frenzy of need and fury. Bodies slamming together on the floor, the rug burning knees, cries echoing off walls. It was cathartic, destructive, love stripped bare. After, spent and sobbing, he whispered promises, therapy, coming out on his timeline, us against the world. I wanted to believe, but doubt lingered like smoke. Summer in the Berkshires was a fever dream of green hills and stage lights, but every curtain call pulled me back to Brooklyn, to the ghost of Nathan's touch lingering on my skin like a brand. The production was Rent. Me as Tom Collins, ironic, playing the heartbroken intellectual chasing love in the shadows of AIDS-ravaged New York. Rehearsals bled into performances, my voice cracking on "Light My Candle" as memories flooded. Nathan's hazel eyes in the dark, his confession a candle flame snuffed too soon. Offstage, I'd hike the trails alone, phone silent except for sporadic texts from him. "Miss your laugh." "Theater killing it?" I'd reply curtly, guarding my heart like a prop sword. Back in the city by Labor Day, the apartment awaited like a crime scene. Dust motes danced in sunbeams, our partition still skewed from that final tumble. Nathan had sublet his spot to a film major named Theo, but he'd left traces. A dog-eared copy of The Alchemist on the coffee table. Inscribed to is, "Follow your personal legend." And his cologne faint on the couch cushions. I unpacked in silence, the weight of unspoken goodbyes pressing down. He showed up unannounced that night, pizza box in hand, pepperoni, extra cheese, our old ritual. "Truce?" he asked, sheepish grin masking the shadows under his eyes. Mia was history, he said. The blow-up had scorched that bridge. Therapy twice a week now. Unpacking the Riley family baggage. Dad's homophobic rants at Thanksgiving tables. The pressure to be the golden boy. I'm trying. Is for real this time. We ate cross-legged on the floor. Knees brushing. Laughter tentative but real. By midnight, his head in my lap. Fingers tracing my thigh. We were kissing again, soft, exploratory, like learning a new language. Fall semester reignited the grind. Me buried in senior thesis on queer subtext in Broadway musicals. Nathan interning at a nonprofit in Chelsea. Advocating for LGBTQ plus youth, irony not lost on us. Our rhythm rebuilt, brick by brick. Mornings. Coffee runs to the bodega, his hand stealing mine under the counter. Evenings, takeout and succession marathons, his body curled against mine, no partition needed. Sex evolved from frantic to tender, lazy Sundays in bed, sunlight painting our skin gold, his whispers of I love you no longer laced with fear, but cracks spiderwebbed beneath the surface. His phone buzzed constantly, old teammates from Philly, probing questions about that gay roommate drama. He'd silence it, but the flinch was there, a micro-betrayal. One night, post-dinner with my mom via FaceTime, she adored him, called him my bonus son. He snapped when I teased about his slight Philly accent slipping out. Not everything's a joke, Isaiah. Some of us are still figuring shit out. The room chilled. I retreated to the fire escape. City hum a lullaby for my rising anger. Thanksgiving redux. This time, Philly bound together, my hand clammy in his under the Amtrak seats. His family was a Norman Rockwell fever dream gone wrong. Mom's apple pie laced with passive questions. So, Nathan, any nice girls lately? Dad's backslaps veering too hard. Siblings eyeing me like an exotic pet. Nathan played buffer, arm around my shoulders at the dinner table, but the tension hummed. Late night, in his childhood room with posters of Eagles legends peeling. He broke. They're suffocating me. What if I can't change them? I held him, murmuring that love starts with him. But doubt seeded, could we bloom in this soil? Winter brought snow and secrets. Nathan's coming out stuttered, out to his therapist. A close cousin, but not the full Riley clan. I understood. Intellectually, my own journey had been a marathon, not a sprint. But emotionally, each evasion chipped at us. New Year's Eve, rooftop party in Dumbo, fireworks exploding over the East River. He pulled me into a shadowed corner. This year, I promise full disclosure. No more hiding. We made love under the stars later, bodies sinking to the distant base. His vows breathed against my collarbone. January thawed with promise. A weekend getaway to the Catskills. Cabin rented on a whim. No cell service to tether us. We hiked frozen trails, breath fogging, stopping to kiss against ancient oaks. Nights by the fireplace, wine warming veins. He opened veins too, stories of high school crushes on teammates. Buried deep. The first time he'd Googled, "Am I gay?" At 16, deleting history in panic. You were the first safe space, he said, tears tracking cheeks. That night in bed. It wasn't the booze. It was waking up to you. I cried too, forgiving the past in the glow of embers. Back in Brooklyn, momentum built. He joined a queer alliance on campus. I dragged him to a drag brunch in the village. Eyeliner smudged, laughter free. Our circle expanded. Queer theater kids, activist friends who vetted him with side-eye but warmed to his earnestness. Sex deepened, exploring kinks. vulnerabilities. Him on his knees one dawn, eyes locked as he took me apart. "You're my everything," he'd gasp, and I'd believe it, body and soul. But spring storms brewed. Nathan's internship evolved into a job offer, full-time at the nonprofit, but with a catch: relocation to D.C. by summer's end. It's huge. Is policy work. Real impact. Pride swelled, but so did fear. Long distance? We'd video. Sure. But the miles loomed like a chasm. "We'll make it," he insisted, but his voice wavered. The betrayal blindside hit in April, cherry blossoms mocking us from Washington Square Park. We'd planned a low-key anniversary, 2 years since that fated bed crawl dinner at our favorite Italian spot in Little Italy. I arrived early, flowers hidden in my jacket, irises, his favorite, symbolizing hope. But he was late, texts evasive. When he finally showed, eyes downcast, the words tumbled, "I told my parents." About us. Relief flooded. Progress. Until the kicker. Dad flipped. Called me confused. Said I was throwing away my future for some phase. Mom cried. Begged me to pray on it. And then they offered to pay for law school if I end it. Move home. Start fresh. The world grade. Betrayal wasn't his infidelity, but his fracture, the boy I'd fallen for splintering under family weight. "What do you want?" I asked, voice a whisper. He reached for my hand, trembling. "You." But it's tearing me apart. We left the restaurant untouched, walking the bridges in silence, Manhattan lights blurring through tears. Home. The fight erupted, raw, necessary. "You promised no hiding," I yelled, pacing our room. "This is them winning," he countered, voice breaking. "You don't get it. It's my blood, my roots. I can't just burn it all." Words flew like shrapnel. My accusations of cowardice, his of impatience. We collapsed onto the bed, exhausted, bodies entwining in a desperate bid for solace. It was angry sex, nails raking, hips bruising, but cathartic, reaffirming. After, curled together, he murmured, "I'll choose us. Give me time, time, that cruel arbiter." May auditions yielded a callback for an off-Broadway Moonlight revival. Me as Chiron, the silent storm. Rehearsals consumed me, but Nathan's DC countdown ticked louder. Job start date, July 1st. We clung to weekends, picnics in Central Park, ferry rides to Staten Island, stealing moments like thieves. June climaxed in fire. Pride weekend, rainbow flags whipping in the wind. We marched hand in hand down Fifth Avenue, his first public outing. Cheers from the crowd, but his grip tightened at slurs hurled from the sidelines. That night, after party at a Hell's Kitchen club, he drank too much, old insecurities surfacing. "What if I'm not enough for this world?" he slurred, cornered by well-meaning activists probing his journey. I pulled him to the dance floor, bodies grinding to pulsing beats, but the seed of doubt took root. The blow came mid-rehearsal break, a call from his cousin, the one confidant. "Nathan's in Philly. Family intervention. They flew him home last night." My stomach dropped. I raced to Penn Station, Amtrak the blur of green fields and regret. Arriving at the Rylas Colonial in Manayunk, the scene was biblical. Dad red-faced, Bible thumping, Mom weeping rosaries, Nathan pale, cornered on the floral sofa. "He's staying," his father declared, spotting me in the doorway like an intruder. "This delusion ends now." Nathan looked up, Eyes haunted. I tried, but the fight drained from him, shoulders slumping under the weight. Betrayal crystallized, not in words, but silence. He let them lead him upstairs, door clicking shut on our dream. I stood frozen, rain starting outside, mirroring the deluge within. Call me? I choked, but he only nodded, lost. Back in Brooklyn, alone, I shattered, dishes smashed, sobs racking until dawn. The apartment echoed with absence. His sneakers by the door, gone, our shared Netflix queue, paused on Brokeback Mountain. I texted once, you promised. No reply. Days bled into weeks, rehearsals a lifeline. Chiron's silence mirrored my own, grief too vast for words. Yet humanism whispers in ruins. A letter arrived, postmarked Philly, his handwriting shaky. I'm sorry doesn't cover it. They broke me, but you mended me first. I'm in therapy, fighting back. Wait for me? And hope flickered, faint as fireflies. I didn't reply, not yet. Healing demanded space. Summer's end found me on stage. Lights hot, audience hushed. As Chiron embraced Kevin under the Miami moon, poured us in the love, the loss, the lingering what-ifs. Applause thundered, but my eyes sought empty seats, wishing for Hazel. Fall leaves carpeted Philly's Fairmount Park like confetti from a canceled parade, but the crunch under Nathan's boots felt like bones breaking. 3 months since the intervention, and the city that once cradled his ambitions now choked him. Sublet in Fishtown. Job at a local firm shelved for family reconciliation. Therapy sessions twice weekly in a strip mall office that smelled of stale coffee and regret. He'd cut me off cold after that night. No calls, blocked numbers, a digital Berlin Wall. But ghosts don't respect boundaries. Mine haunted every corner, Isaiah's laugh echoing in the Schuylkill River's ripple, his touch a phantom itch on sun-faded skin. Back in Brooklyn, I armored up. Senior year at NYU was a gauntlet. Thesis defense on queer invisibility in Hamilton, Lin-Manuel's own ghosts fueling my fire. Callback for Moonlight turning into understudy, close, but no cigar. Shifts at the Soho Bistro stacking tips for postgrad survival. Friends rallied, queer collective potlucks in Bushwick lofts. Drag nights where I vogued away the ache, but solitude crept in after dark. The apartment, once our cocoon, gaped empty. I dismantled the partition, letting space breathe, but memories lingered in the wall's cracks. October brought a curveball. An email from Nathan's cousin, Lena, the ally who'd tipped me off. He's a mess. Asks about you in whispers. Family's got him on lockdown, but he's cracking. Attached. A photo from a cousin's wedding. Nathan in the back. Suit rumpled. Smile forced. Eyes distant as the horizon. My thumb hovered over reply. Heart a war drum. Instead, I forwarded it to my therapist, Dr. Patel, whose office overlooked the Gowanus Canal. Boundaries. Isaiah, she said, glasses perched like a sage. Love doesn't mean martyrdom, but boundaries blur when love's the tide. Halloween weekend. Fate or masochism pulled me to Philly for a theater conference at Drexel. Posters plastered the Greyhound station. Queer voices, amplifying the marginalized. I debated bailing, but curiosity won. Whispers of Nathan's sightings in the local scene had trickled through grapevines. The conference was electric, panels on intersectionality, keynotes from titans like Billy Porter, but my eyes scanned lobbies like a hawk. No sign. Post-event mixer at a dive near Rittenhouse Square. costumed queers spilling onto sidewalks. I nursed a pumpkin ale, which hat askew, when Hazel locked on Brown across the fogged window. He was outside, trench coat flapping in the wind. No costume, just Nathan, raw and real. Our gazes collided, time fracturing. I pushed through the door, chill nipping, words tumbling. "You look like shit," he laughed, broken, stepping closer. Missed that mouth. The air crackled, old electricity humming. We walked, aimless, aching, past brownstones strung with ghost lights, his confessions spilling like rain. The intervention's aftermath. Dad's ultimatums, choose family or that lifestyle. Mom's silent treatments, his own spiral into isolation. "I blocked you to protect you," he said, voice gravel. From this toxicity, we ended at a 24-hour diner. Formica tables scarred like our history, coffee black as regrets. "I love you still," he admitted, fingers drumming. "But I'm drowning here. They want the old Nathan, straight, settled, safe." My chest tightened. "And you? What do you want?" He met my eyes, fierce. "A life with you. But I need to claw my way out first." Hope and hurt warred. I squeezed his hand under the table. A lifeline. "Claw hard. I'll be waiting, but not forever." Dawn broke as I boarded the bus. His kiss goodbye tasting of diner grease and possibility. Soft, lingering, promise etched in frost. Back in Brooklyn, I journaled furiously. Words a bomb. Fractured, but not fatal. November elections loomed, Trump's shadow lengthening, but personal politics dominated. Nathan started texting again. Sporadic, then steady therapy breakthrough today. Told Dad I'm bi. He hung up. My replies. Encouragement laced with caution. "Proud of you. Keep swinging." We voice noted late nights. His voice husky with exhaustion. Mine steadying with stories of Editions 1, a voiceover gig for an indie podcast. Small but mine. Distance sharpened longing. I'd masturbate to memories of his freckles mapping my chest. Guilt-free now. Thanksgiving, solo in the city. I hosted strays. A trans barista from work. A non-binary sculptor from class at our apartment. Turkey from Zabbers. Sides potluck. Laughter filled the void. But when my phone pinged mid-toast, happy tea-giving. Wish I was there. Tears pricked. I snapped a photo, table groaning, faces aglow. This could be us someday. Winter solstice brought collision. Nathan's firm offer rescinded after personal issues leaked. Gossip from a family friend. Whispers of confusion. Rage fueled him. He drove to D.C. unannounced, crashing a holiday party thrown by a queer lobbyist contact from NYU. There, amid eggnog and policy wonks, he came out fully, speech slurred but soul-bearing. "I'm bisexual, in love with a man who taught me courage. And fuck anyone who says that's less." Video went viral in niche circles. By morning, offers trickled, inquiries from inclusive firms. The fellowship nod. He called me at 3 a.m. Brooklyn time, buzzed on triumph. "I did it. Is for us." Elation surged. I booked a Bolt to Philly next weekend. Our reunion ablaze, him at the station, devouring me in the parking lot, hands frantic under coats. We tumbled to his sublet, a studio above a laundromat, sheets twisting as we reclaimed each other. "No more fractures," he gasped. Inside me, eyes locked. "Whole now. With you." Dawn found us tangled, plans hatching, DC move in spring, Me grad school hunting nearby. But humanism tempers joy with reality. Christmas with my family in Harlem, mom's greens, dad's jazz records, Nathan via video, charming from afar. His side, stilted cards, no invite. Healing takes time, he said, but the barb lingered. New Year, virtual countdown, screens split, me in a village party, him with new activist friends in a DC speakeasy. To horizons unbroken, we toasted, pixels bridging miles. January frosts thawed with visits, me on a Greyhound, him on Amtrak, weekends stolen in neutral zones, Baltimore museums, Annapolis oysters. Love deepened, roots intertwining. February's full moon, we drove to the Poconos cabin redux, snow blanketing pines. Around the fire, he proposed not rings, but intention, move with me after graduation. Build this, tears hot, I said, sealing with salt-laced kisses. Spring equinox, moonlight casting, me as Kevin this time, the betrayer redeemed. Rehearsals overlapped his DC fellowship start. We'd sync schedules, him flying up for opening night. The role mirrored us, youthful indiscretions yielding to mature love. You're my redemption, I told him post-curtain call, bouquet in hand, his pride beaming brighter than footlights. Yet conflict simmers eternal. May graduation, cap and gown in Yankee Stadium, Nathan front row, whooping loudest. Diplomas clutched. We celebrated, rooftop soiree overlooking the Hudson, toasts to futures. But a call mid-party, his dad, voice gruff. Heard you're moving. Take care of him. No warmth, but a crack. Progress? June heat wave. Packing commenced. Boxes labeled ours. Vinyls. Mismatched mugs. The quill tattoo sketch he'd inked on my arm impromptu one tipsy night. Betrayal's scar faded, but lessons etched. Love's not linear. A dance of 2 steps forward, 1 back. DC beckoned, cherry blossoms late, monuments stark against skies. We signed a lease in DuPont Circle, pre-war walk-up with fire escape views. Unpacking, his hand in mine, shocked us both that first night. Best shock ever. I laughed, pulling him close. To shocks that stick, but the story arc's human, flawed, resilient. Whispers of family rifts. Societal side-eyes lingered, but we faced them tandem, hands clasped. Isaiah and Nathan. From bed to belonging, a gay American odyssey. DuPont Circle buzzed like a hive in July's swelter. Rainbow crosswalks faded from foot traffic but spirits unbowed. Our new address a 3rd-floor airy in a rowhouse painted sage. Windows flung wide to catch the metro's rumble and the faint chime of ice cream trucks. Nathan's fellowship kicked off with orientation at a glassy office near the Capitol. Him in chinos and loafers that pinched. Me crashing on a temp gig at a Georgetown cafe. Slinging lattes to lobbyists with secrets in their briefcases. Mornings started tangled in 400 thread count sheets we'd splurged on. His alarm a gentle nudge into coffee-scented awakenings. Evenings ended with rooftop sunsets. City sprawl a canvas of promise. Love, post-reckoning, was a quieter beast. Less fireworks. More hearth. We'd cook, him mastering gumbo from my mom's recipe. Me fumbling Nathan's nana's braciole. Laughter spilling over stovetops. Wine loosening tongues for debriefs. His policy wins. A youth housing bill inching forward. My audition tales, a pilot voice for HBO. Nerves frayed but voice steady. Sex wove through it all. Unhurried now. Lazy afternoons with him tracing my tattoos. Me mapping his freckles like constellations. whispers of forever amid gasps. But tides turn. August brought undercurrents. Nathan's family visited, uninvited, his mom insisting on checking in via Amtrak, Dad trailing with a cooler of craft beers and unspoken grudges. They arrived mid-afternoon, Mom enveloping me in lilac-scented hugs. Isaiah, dear, you look well. Dad grunting hellos over a firm handshake that lingered judgmental. Dinner was a minefield. Take-out ribs from a soul food spot, conversations skirting edges, Philly sports, weather, the fine work Nathan was doing, code for ignoring the gay elephant. Mom cornered me in the kitchen. He's happy? Truly? I's pleading. I nodded fierce. Happier than ever. Dad pulled Nathan aside on the fire escape. Voices low. Later, Nathan's jaw clenched, explaining over nightcaps. He asked if this is permanent. Said grandkids would be nice. Betrayal's echo. Faint but sharp. Family's conditional love a tide pulling back. We weathered it. Post-departure. A weekend in Rehoboth Beach. Boardwalk cotton candy and dune walks. Salt air scouring wounds. They're trying, Nathan said. Toes in sand. Mom slipped me a PFLAG pamphlet. Progress. Incremental humanity's slow grind. September sharpened focus. My grad apps to Yale drama. His fellowship extending with a promotion to junior analyst. We joined a queer running group. Pounding the mall at dawn. Monuments silent witnesses to our rhythm. Friends bloomed. DC's scene vibrant. Potlucks with activist couples. Trivia nights at dive bars where we'd steal kisses between rounds. But isolation nipped. Long hours. His travel to conferences. My callback flights to NYC. One night, post-argument over forgotten groceries, petty, but proxy for exhaustion. He snapped, I can't be perfect. Is the pressure. I cut in. Soft. Never wanted perfect. Just present. We made up on the kitchen floor. Linoleum cool against fevered skin. Reckoning renewed. October's foliage tour, Shenandoah Valley Drive. Leaves aflame, gifted clarity. Picnics amid vistas. He opened scars. A high school hookup with a teammate. Buried deep. The terror of that first bed night. Not desire's doubt but exposures. You were my mirror, he said. Head on my lap in a hammock. Showed me who I could be. Tears fell. Mine too. Love's reckoning demands tears. Halloween in the district. Adam's Morgan block party. Us as broke-back cowboys, ironic. Meta. Chaps chafing but laughter-free. Amid throngs. A slur-shouter tested us. Drunk hetero in a toga. But Nathan stood tall. Arm linked mine. Back off. Asshole. Love is love. Cheers erupted. We danced till dawn. Reckoning turning triumphant. November elections. Nail-biter. TVs flickering blue in living rooms nationwide. We hosted watch party, queer neighbors. Pizza stacks. Tension thick as we clung through recounts. Victory's dawn brought sobs of relief. Nathan's text to his dad. History made. Wish you could see it. Reply, proud. Son. Regardless. A tide turning. Grudging. Thanksgiving, our first hosted. Hybrid, my mom flying down. His parents' tentative Zoom. Mom beaming at the table. Dad toasting awkwardly. Turkey brined. Yams candied. Stories swapped. Harlem block parties versus Philly cheesesteaks. Post-feast walks along Rock Creek. Nathan's hand in mine. Families bridging virtual divides. We're building something real, he murmured. Human web, woven tight. Winter solstice. Promotion party for him at a Foggy Bottom bistro. Suits and schmoozes. I mingled. Voiceover demo in pocket. Landing a callback for a Netflix series. Narrator for a doc on Stonewall. Toasts rang. To Nathan and Isaiah, power couple goals. Blush hot. But pride swelled. Reckoning's fruit. Sweet. Christmas. Road trip north. Alternating tapes, his Springsteen. My Solange. Philly stopover. Dinner with his folks. Tension eased. Mom gifting knitted scarves. Dad cracking Eagles jokes sans barbs. You're good for him, he grunted aside to me. Tide high. New Year's. Eiffel Tower dupe at the National Cathedral. Midnight bells pealing. Resolutions, I asked. Champagne fizzing. More us, he said. Kiss ceiling. Horizons widened. January blues. My Yale acceptance, full ride. Start fall. Elation, then ache separation looming. We'll commute, he insisted, but doubt crested. Arguments flared. My fear of resentment, his of loss. Reckoning revisited. Therapy tandem now. Dr. Ramirez in Logan Circle mediating. Love adapts, she said. We vowed flexibility, Yale weekends, DC base. February, voice gig raps. Residuals trickling. His bill passes subcommittee. Champagne pops. Valentine's. Intimate, handwritten letters exchanged by candlelight. Mine chronicling our shocks. His vowing fidelity. Tide of tenderness. March Madness. Yale orientation. Me navigating New Haven Ivy. Nathan Amtrak ing up. Campus tours hand in hand. Whispers of future here. But DC pulled, his roots deepening. Networks blooming. April showers. Conflict crests. A work trip for him to Atlanta, Queer Policy Summit. Sparks jealousy when a flirty colleague texts post-event. Great seeing you. Drink soon. Innocent. But my insecurities roared. Fight via call. Accusations flying. Am I enough? He flew back early. Airport reunion raw. Always. You're my tide. Reckoning raw. Reaffirming. May Yale semester starts. Rhythm disrupted, lectures on Brecht. Seminars on queer theory. Weekends DC bound. Trains blurring miles. Exhaustion mounts. A missed connection strands me overnight. Hotel solitude amplifying doubts. June solstice. Midpoint crisis. Back in DC for summer break. We hike Great Falls, rapids churning like emotions. This sustainable? I voice. Fear cracking. He stops. Hands cupping face. Fight for it. We did before. Tide turns on will. July heat. Internship at a Hill office for me. Bridging worlds. Nathan's family visits again. Progress evident. Mom hugging tight. Dad asking about theater dreams. Barbecue on the balcony. Ribs smoking. Barriers crumbling. August Yale intensives. But DC anchor holds. A proposal whispers, not yet. But rings eyed online. Future tangible. September. Second year looms. But love's tide ebbs steady. Reckoning complete. No ongoing. Waves eternal. But us? Unbreakable. Autumn's amber veil draped New Haven like a stage curtain half-drawn. Yale's Gothic spires piercing skies heavy with promise and the faint rot of fallen leaves. Second-year grad drama program was a crucible directing lab on the normal heart. Voice coaching that honed my timbre to velvet steel. But DC's pull was magnetic. Amtrak weekends a ritual of hurried hellos and heartfelt goodbyes. Nathan's fellowship morphed into a staffer role. Corner office with Potomac views. his days a blur of hearings and handshakes. We'd sink in stolen slots. Friday nights at Union Station, my duffel slung over shoulder, his grin splitting the crowd like sunrise. Love, at 2 years post-bed shock, had weathered to oak strong, ringed with scars that told tales. Mornings in D.C., him brewing pour-over, me scrolling callbacks, a Broadway workshop pinged, take me out revival, understudy nod. We'd run the tidal basin, cherry pits crunching underfoot, debriefing over post-jog bagels. His win on a trans rights amendment, my monologue that slayed seminar. Intimacy evolved, less conquest, more communion. Sunday lazes where he'd read policy briefs aloud, me sketching set designs on his thigh, pencil tickling freckles. But dawn follows dusk, October's equinox stirred shadows. Nathan's dad, rechristened Big Riley in our private lexicon, announced retirement from the force. Philly backyard bash invite extended to the boys. We drove up, Prius humming hymns on I-95, nerves electric. The party was a Riley rubric. Kegs tapped, ants in Eagles jerseys, grill smoke veiling tensions. Big Riley clapped Nathan's back. Son, you're making waves. Then mine heard Yale's fancy. Keep him grounded, kid. No barbs, just beer-fueled yarns, progress, paternal. Mom Riley pulled me aside, eyes misty. Thank you for loving him whole, tide of acceptance, cresting. Halloween, Yale's alternative Rocky Horror shadowcast. Me as Frankenfurter, fishnets and flare. Nathan Amtrak ed up, front row wolf whistling. Post-show after-party, a tangle of glitter and gropes in my dorm-adjacent loft. My sexy mad scientist, he growled, peeling latex slow. Dawn tangled. We plotted. Thanksgiving dual duty. Harlem then Philly. November's chill bit. Elections midterms. We canvassed tandem. D.C. streets for Nathan's org. New Haven dorms for mine. Victory laps in dive bars. High fives with volunteers. His kiss tasting of democracy's sweat. But personal polls polled doubt. A Yale crush, lit TA with cheekbones sharp as Ibsen dialogue. Flirted innocuous. But Nathan's text pinged jealous. Who's the pretty boy in pics? We video confessed over wine. My fidelity, his fear. Unyielding, we vowed. Hearts synced. Thanksgiving odyssey, train to Penn. Cab to Harlem. Mom's table groaning, collards. Cornbread. Candied yams. Dad grilling Nathan on Sixer stats. Philly boy. Huh? Prove it. Laughter boomed. Love's mosaic. Next dawn. Amtrak South. Philly spread. Mom's pie. Siblings toasts. To the power duo. Big Riley's speech. Family's what you build. Glad you're buildin' strong. Tears veiled in steam. Unyielding roots. December's hush. Yale finals frenzy. Me hold in Butler Library. Scripts annotated to oblivion. Nathan's holiday party. Hill staffers in cocktail finery. I crashed post-exam. Jet-lagged but j'étais through small talk. His boss pulled me aside. He lights up talking you. Rare. Midnight toast. To us unyielding. Christmas. Alternating again. But compromise born, Harlem first. Then DC tree trimming with his folks via Zoom. Mom directing ornaments. Dad grumbling tinsel. Gifts unwrapped. Me. A first edition fences inscribed break legs. Break walls and him. Cufflinks etched shock and awe. New Year's. Yale bonfire. Nathan beside. Flames leaping as we clinked flasks. Resolutions. More dawns together. January thaw. Voiceover residuals pad the bank. Broadway workshop locks. Take me out. Me shadowing Dennis O'Hare. Nathan's amendment passes house floor. Champagne corks pop in our DuPont kitchenette. But tide tests. A Philly cousin's wedding invite, Nathan solo. Family optics. Go, I urged. Bridge him. He returned raw. Toasts dodged, +1. Ants whisper. So. The roommate. But Dad's dance invite. Bring him next time. Unyielding progress. February frosts. Yale directing project. Queer take on cat on a tin roof. Big Daddy's bigotry recast. Nathan flies up for Tech Week. Line reading in our black box. Critiques sharp. More heart. Less heat. Opening night. Standing O. His bouquet bruising ribs in hug. Valentine's. DC detour. Ice skating at the sculpture garden. Falls and laughs. Rink lights haloing us. Dinner. Handwritten menus. His risotto. My poem. From bed to belonging. Your shock my salvation. March Madness. Workshop intensives. Me NYC bound weekly. Nathan's conference in Austin. Queer policy powwow. Sparks a panel collab invite for me. Voice of the voiceless. We co-present via split screen. Synergy electric. But distance drags. A missed train. Hotel night alone. Texts turning terse. Fight ferments. Feels like drifting. Video reckoning. Anchor here. Unyielding tether. April showers. Yale spring break. Full DC immersion. Internship shadow at his org. Policy jargon swimming. Family fusion. Joint Seder with my Jewish castmates fam. Matzo ball soup mingling with Riley brisket tails. Tide of inclusion. May blooms. Take me out callbacks. Me snagging Kip's understudy. Equity card imminent. Nathan's promotion. Senior advisor. Raise funding beach house weekends. But conflict crests. Big Riley's health scare, prostate check. Clean but scare. Pulls Nathan homeward. Need to be there, he says. I nod. But ache. Don't lose us in the pull. Therapy tandem via app. Balance. Not sacrifice. June solstice. Graduation looms for neither. But milestone 3 years since that bed. Anniversary escape. Finger Lakes cabin. Wine trails winding. Proposal dawn. Him on one knee by the dock. Ring simple white gold. Intertwined bands. Marry me, Isaiah. Unyielding forever. Tears splash Lakewood. Yes, sealed in sunrise kiss. July heat. Engagement buzz. Harlem brunch announce. Philly cookout reveal. Mom's bond over caterers. Dad's toast gruff. Wedding whispers. Fall next year. Brooklyn loft affair. August. Equity card stamped. Agent signed. Nathan's bill lawbound. Tides calm. Dawn eternal. September Yale third year. But wedding plans propel, suits fitted. Vows drafted. Unyielding love. From shock to sacrament. American dream queerly claimed. In the end, humanism prevails, not flawless utopia, but flawed fidelity. Nathan and Isaiah. Tides tamed. Dawns devoured. Together unyielding.